Hello and welcome to the morning after show. My name is Joshua Reimer. As many of you know me as Roto Radar Reimer, and I am here joined by my co-host who is on my left or my right. I never actually know when I do intro these shows, but I should figure it out that way so I can stop with these terrible awkward tosses. It's none other than Jared Block, the Block Master. Block, how you doing? How'd you enjoy Thursday night football? And how was your Thursday?
My Thursday was extremely busy, but we're out here. Last night's game, Josh, we've only had one stinker of a primetime game, and every single other one has been an absolute nail biter down the stretch. Yesterday's game was a total of 40 and a half points, and those two teams almost hit the 70 mark yesterday. That's how crazy this thing was. I was shocked and blown away by the lack of defense last night. But yeah, I think that the NFL had a little bit of a play into this and said, hey guys, no defense today. We're going to
No.
play some football.
None, absolutely none. I saw on Twitter that you tweeted out like the over under was set at like 42 or 40 or something like that. And I think by the end of the night, we ended up at 60 combined points. So it was a barn burner. There have been 17 NFL games so far this year. 10 out of those 17 NFL games have been decided by just a possession, by just one score. So it's nice to have football back, but not only is it nice to have football back, it's nice to have football back and have these games be really just nail biters and really close and a lot of fun to watch. And that's what last night's game was. It was a lot of fun to watch.
It certainly was. I mean, I'm happy with everything landed for me. I talked to the members yesterday on the show when we broke down the NFL card, and I said the only thing that I could take in this game was Giants plus 3.5. Just one of those feelings that I had, and I felt like the number sounded about right. But obviously, I thought that the game was going to be somewhere around the 20-17 mark for Washington. So, and the fact that we didn't even mention this yet, but the Giants left 11 points on the board for that team. There was two major penalties, and then obviously the drop by Darius Slayton in the end zone. Man, it was rough for them. I feel sorry for Giants fans. We don't have very many in here, but Coach, I do see you, so I hope that you're having a better morning today.
For sure. It must be nice for Giants fans. And man, like it just at least you're seeing that your team's doing well, right? Like I had this take on Twitter. We're gonna talk about it in the next segment because the next segment is recapping that game. But I don't know. Daniel Jones impressed me, man. Daniel Jones just continues to impress me every time I get the chance to watch him, which is not very often because I always focus on the games that have my players, and the Giants games very rarely have my players. But every time I watch him, he just somehow impresses me, and last night was no different. So it's going to be a lot of fun to talk about that game, dive more in depth into all the NFL news that we've got yesterday. But how else was your Thursday? I know we talked about it before the show. It was an incredibly busy Thursday for you.
Yeah, Thursdays are, while they're, it's kind of weird, right? Because like Saturdays are my off days. It's usually your busiest day of the week, and
Yeah.
then it flip flops the other way on Thursday for me. No, I have no, worries about it at all. That's just the nature of the game. And then when the MLB slate decides to bump up 3 hours, it makes things a little bit
Yeah.
difficult. But hey, we got it all done yesterday, and we won on everything too. And yeah, it was a good night. The Phillies scored 18 runs. We'll talk about that here in a little bit.
Well,
But yeah, the football game was the major highlight for me, and the fact that it was such an entertaining game. Like I thought, oh, you know what? I'll just prep for this week. I'll write some of my article. I'll do a bunch of other stuff. I'll clean the house a little bit during the game, and nothing happened. It was
nothing.
just straight football,
Yeah.
and I wanted to see all of it. So shout out to the two teams that played last night. They played their hearts out, and it was a really good game to watch.
Yeah, they definitely played their hearts out. It was a lot of fun to watch. Let me tell you about my Thursday, because Thursday's day off. I try to take a step back from the company and everything. I feel like I did a really good job yesterday. Yesterday was one of the better jobs I've done in not trying to work all day long. I didn't get on any voice calls. Usually Thursdays are like a meeting day. I didn't even get on a meeting that I was technically supposed to get on just because I was like, you know what? It's Thursday. It's my off day. And so everything's going fine. Got to sleep in a little bit, was very lazy yesterday, hung out on the couch a lot, and then my girlfriend and I decided to take the dog to the dog park, which we try to do every once in a while, and it was a lot easier to do yesterday because usually we get off of 30 to walk way too late to do it, and so we take her to the dog park, have a lot of fun. She gets absolutely filthy messy. I mean, it was so muddy and she's just rolling around. And so we gave her a bath when we got home. But that's not the fun part of the story. The fun part of the story is we got in the car. I turned on the car and the car starts sputtering. I don't know, shaking. I don't even know how I would describe it. But a whole bunch of lights come on the dashboard. Check engine light comes on, electrical light comes on. And I'm like, all right, we just recently dealt with this. We just took it to the dealership for this problem. And so I was like, well, this really sucks. They were supposed to fix it, but that's okay. We're going to try to drive it home. And ends up that we can't get home. So we have to park in a Sonic parking lot and wait for 3+ hours to wait for a tow truck. I mean, it was just, a lot of my Thursdays are absolutely fantastic. Yesterday was the last time I can remember a Thursday being absolutely awful, and purely because not only did I have to sit in a Sonic parking lot, I wasn't able to watch at least a majority of that football game, which makes me really sad, man. It makes me really sad that I wasn't able to watch a majority, because you even said it was a good game. So, it's all right. We rebound, and I have a feeling that we're going to rebound and make it a very, very good Friday.
Yeah, I feel that, man. Obviously, cards trouble sucks. I had some card trouble last week, so I feel your pain on that one. Was your dog with you the whole time? We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah, the dog was with us the whole time in the back seat. She loves the car, so it really wasn't that big of a deal. But I'm sure she was very bored and like, when are we getting home? Because it was quite a while. The dog's tiny. I mean, not tiny. She's like a medium-sized dog, so it's not like she was like cramped or anything. She was just fine and chilling. All right. Anything else you want to talk about from your Thursday, Jared? If not, we should get the show started.
Yeah, so the Thursday night recap of bets for me, I went 3-1. So I think you can see, you guys that are watching the show already know what the one is. So the New York Giants plus 3.5 was a winner. The first half margin of victory, Washington football team by 1 to 6 points, plus 350 was a winner. The halftime score was 14-10 Washington, so they got that margin right. The score in the first 7 minutes of the game as a no also hit. The first score in the game didn't happen until the 5-minute mark of the first quarter, so that one also cashed. And then finally, the one loss that I had was Antonio Gibson to score a touchdown. Josh, he was minus 125, so even better odds than Darren Waller. Still didn't get in the end zone, and we saw almost 2 touchdowns from J.D. McKissic last night. One of them was the obvious run, and the second one was that incredible sideline catch in the fourth quarter. I don't know. We'll talk about Gibson here as the show moves on, but that was very shocking to see. If you told me that was the one that I was going to lose, I wouldn't even know what to say. So I still don't know how to digest or say anything related to Antonio Gibson last night.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about it until we get to the Thursday night football section, because I'm just, you guys are going to hear a different type of Josh when we do get to this section. So let's talk about exactly that. Let's talk about this game. Had just about everything, right? Had good quarterback play, had a few injuries, like I feel like we're getting in every single game. And, we also get to talk about some wide receiver plays, some tight end plays. We saw Ricky Seals-Jones pull off an amazing catch. And we saw a lot of things. So first of all, I want to talk about Daniel Jones, because I had a really big hot take on Twitter as I was watching that game. I was like, look, man, every time I see this guy, like, I feel like he's not as bad as people say he is. And so I went to Twitter, and I want to pull up the exact take so I don't missay anything that I said on Twitter. Pulled it up right now. Said hot take, Daniel Jones isn't a bad QB. The Giants have held back his potential. I wouldn't be surprised to see him have a similar career trajectory to Sam Darnold. Look, I saw a lot of impressive stuff from him. I saw good throws. The Darius Slayton throw was amazing. Both of the Darius Slayton throws were amazing. Just one of them, Slayton was bad and didn't catch the ball. I think that the runs that we saw from him, especially the run that he had when they got called back by a holding penalty, that run was incredible. He looks fast, man. Like I'm not going to say Lamar Jackson fast necessarily, but I feel like you put him up against any other QB speed-wise, and he can kind of compete, like more so than you would expect him to compete, at least. I don't know, man. Like, Daniel Jones always surprises me, and I feel like this is going to be the same scenario as Sam Darnold, where, like, he's not going to do well in New York. They're going to let him go, and then he'll go do well I don't know, Steelers came into mind. I feel like Steelers are the main team that needs a QB, and as soon as Daniel Jones's contract is up, he'll be able to go to the Steelers, and Big Ben will probably retire. So like Steelers came into my mind, Falcons came into my mind. I feel like this guy can be good somewhere.
Yeah, I think that the big thing for me is that he continues to be in this Jason Garrett offense, which, I mean, surprisingly last night, overperformed to my expectations. They overperformed, well, not last week, but the underlying numbers said that they actually adjusted and made some moves in the second half, and that's what they did again last week. The penalties, obviously down the stretch, are what killed them. He had a monster run called back from a holding from the last guy, the CJ Board, the wide receiver. Shouldn't have done anything. Like, if he would have actually blocked the dude, he would have had a touchdown. But yeah, he continues to impress running the football in prime time. I know that everybody remembers the tripping touchdown play, but last night he looked really good. And the main thing for Daniel Jones that I always worry about is the turnover proneness. He was the for the last 2 seasons, he's the most turnover prone quarterback in the league. Didn't have a single turnover last night, and obviously the one that made the difference was the Taylor Heineke interception. Now Washington still won the game, but the fact that Daniel Jones didn't turn over the ball was something that I definitely will take notice moving forward.
Daniel Jones did everything that he could to let his team win last night. Every single thing. Like, he had the good throws, he had the good runs. They should have won if Slayton just caught that ball. I mean, like, I saw a stat on ESPN last night when I was at the gym after we got back from the whole car incident, and it was like it's the second most open wide receiver. It's the second most open catch that hasn't been made in the past like 5 seasons. And I was like, that's insane. Like, it should have been an easy touchdown for Slayton. It wasn't an easy touchdown for Slayton. It's just one day, man. One day you'll see the true potential of Daniel Jones. It's just not going to be any time when he's in that Giants uniform. All right, we got to talk about Taylor Heineke. Guy was absolutely amazing for this Washington football team. Had 2 touchdowns, had 300 plus yards. Threw that interception that was kind of iffy, but James Bradbury, he's going to do that to you sometimes. What did you think about Heineke's performance last night?
Yeah, outside of the one mistake, actually, I think he made 2 iffy throws. That was the first one, and then the other one was that pass interference call that he got bailed out on, where the defender was kind of over the back of Adam Humphries. But he looked good. I think he looked ready to. He was poised and ready and didn't shy away from the moment, and that was the big thing that I was looking for this. I was saying to myself, if this game stays close, we have 2 really shaky quarterbacks in the fourth quarter. So really wanted to see how they lived up to the test, and they both did. And it was 2 mistakes that were made on their teams that were the detriment to the game. And then obviously the biggest thing was that offsides penalty on the first last field goal of the game, which, I mean, that's neither quarterback's fault. That's just extremely lucky. Now Dustin Hopkins usually makes that field goal, so the fact that he missed it and got a second try is even more crazy circumstances. But yeah, Taylor Heineke only made 2 or 3 bad mistakes, and I was really impressed by what he was able to do and how he was able to lead his team. Plus the incredible he was making all night, whether that be to Terry or whether that be to Ricky Seals-Jones or the sideline streak by J.D. McKissick. It was a really impressive thing to watch.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's exactly what we expected to see, man. He continues to impress us. He impressed us last year, and there's a reason that Ron Rivera said, no, I'm not going to go sign Cam Newton or any other QB on the market. It's because Baylor Heineke is not a bad backup option. I think the Washington football team knew this when they signed Fitzpatrick. They expected, Fitzpatrick's old. He could potentially get into an injury situation, and they had Tyler Heineke at the helm, or they were willing to have him at the helm if need be. And he showed last night that he is a good option. He'll be a good option for this team, at least to lead them in the short term. Talk about the running back situation. We did see Barkley pull off a really impressive run last night. It kind of reminded me of old Saquon, but we didn't see much else from him. And Antonio Gibson, man, I told you guys I was going to save it for this section. Man, I just want to pound my desk when I think about that Antonio Gibson line. Not only did he miss out on a 2-yard touchdown, should have been the easiest touchdown in the world for him. I can't believe Rivera went to JD instead, but also just had a shit game, man. Like, just didn't play well. Only 15 touches. I spent a 2nd-round pick on this guy in a lot of leagues, and I'm hoping it's a one-time thing, man, because I'm furious. I'm fuming right now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. For me, maybe we over. Well, I don't think we overreacted in week one, but I think we might be overreacting in week two, or people could be overreacting in week two to see how much J.D. McKissick got there. Now, in their first game, it was definitely more like obviously both games were close. I was very, and maybe we, I don't know, like I keep going back and forth because that's why you see me having a hard time with this, but that he did fumble late in the game last week at the goal line. Maybe that has a little bit to do with why McKissick got that run, but he also like was not in on fourth. He was not in on most of the fourth quarter drives. He was not in the game in that 2 minute drill in the first half, at the end of the first half, and he just I don't know. I mean, they used him. They gave him a couple of dump offs, but he was usually used as a pass blocker, and then Taylor Heineke was just not looking his way after he cleared that first block. So I don't know. I'm very surprised that he didn't get more than that 15 touch mark that he got. A lot of it does have to do with McKissick and the fact that there's always that looming possibility of, let's say, comparison to Tampa, where one of those running backs gets hot and then they stay in the game the rest of the time. It kind of seemed like that was the case of McKissick last night. So the fact that that's a thing is terrifying because you never thought that that was a thing if you looked at last week's stuff and the offseason reports and everything over the summer saying that they were ready to have Gibson be that three down back.
It's just disheartening, man. And I already see people in the chat from our high stakes league saying that they'll trade for Gibson. I think I'll hold off. I don't want to overreact necessarily quite yet, so we'll wait a few games and see where we are after that. But I think at the end of the day he'll be just fine. And maybe it was just because, like you said, maybe he's still in the doghouse from that fumble last week. But who knows at the end of the day? All right, I want to talk about this Washington football defense. This is a defense that both of us came in and said like this is probably at least a top 10 defense, if not a top 5 defense, and they haven't shown it yet this year. They've given up almost 40, no, not almost, they've given up exactly 49 points so far through 2 games. They gave up 29 points to a Giants offense that I don't expect to see many times to see them have 29 points, especially with Jason Garrett as their OC. What's the deal here? Is this something that we're gonna have to expect for this Washington football defense not to be that good, or is this just a anomaly here with these first 2 games?
Well, I won't say that they played terribly against the Chargers because they have a decent offense. That was more of a grinded out game that they kind of blew late. So I will give them a pass in week one. But in week two, that was an unbelievably bad performance for this defense that the expectation for me, at least, I know both of us are on the same page, that they have the ability to be a top number one defense, but they're probably top five after week one. But after this week, man, that was really rough to watch. A lot of mistakes in the secondary. That's probably the one area where you can actually exploit them. Now, Barkley did have that one breakout run, but they held him in check pretty much the rest of the game after that. Now, I don't know. I mean, I know that Daniel Jones had a few really solid runs of his own too, so maybe that's needs to be addressed. And I know that we kind of give more credit to Daniel Jones and the defense on that one. But yeah, the secondary looked really shaky yesterday. Got loose several times. Lots of really weird miscommunications from that secondary. So for me, I don't know. Maybe we take a step back a little bit. We can look at their record, or look at their strength of schedule and their schedule for the next couple of weeks here. Let's see what we got. I feel like,
At some point they're gonna have to face the Cowboys twice. I know that, and that's
yeah,
if they play like that against the Cowboys, Dak is gonna put up like 5 touchdowns on them.
okay. We've looked at this schedule before. It's coming back to my memory. They play the Bills next week on the 26th, so they have a week and a half off, obviously, for that one. Then they go ahead and play the Falcons, the Saints, Chiefs, Packers, Broncos, and Buccaneers. So very tough schedule. We'll see
Yeah.
if that defense can hold up or not. But it is very interesting. It's going to be a really interesting thing to watch. They get a second half of the schedule that's actually fairly simple for them. Cowboys twice, Giants again, Eagles twice too. So a lot of NFC East matchups to end the year. So we'll see how that defense is holding up. That middle part of the season, Saints, Chiefs, Packers, Broncos, and Bucks is going to be very, very tough. So maybe maybe it's a good time to still buy low on them after a pathetic performance yesterday.
Maybe. Who knows? We'll have to see. Look, the chat's giving me a lot of flack right now, Jared, saying that, Garrett is an above average OC. No,
Wait,
he's
wait, wait,
not.
what?
No, he's not. Don't kid yourself. Jason Garrett is an awful head coach, and I agree with Will in saying that he's an average OC with minimal imagination. Maybe that's being nice too. I don't even think he's an average OC. I think he's a very below average head coach, a coach in general. I don't know. He holds back that Giants offense so much. I mean, we saw it all of last season how much he held back that Giants offense. Jared, I need the reinforcements. I need you to come back me up here.
Yeah, so the main thing for me was that he just never adjusted in the second half or in anything whenever the game script would change for his team. So I put out a stat last night that said something like he was one of the worst in adjusting to if his team was down, and they did very well with that yesterday. Normally, they would have only passed the ball around 55% of the time, which is lower than league average if you were trailing. And last week, when they played the Broncos, they bumped that up to 65 to 68%. Last night, they were throwing the ball a lot too. So this season, you're seeing a little bit different style of play from Jason Garrett. That might have a lot to do with Joe Judge. I think it does.
No.
So, but previous years, they were just known for never adjusting. That's why you saw a lot of terrible things happen for the Cowboys in like 3 or 4 straight years.
Yeah.
So they were never adjusting with that, and the offense just could never get things going because of the play calling that was in place. So uh, last night, I will say I'm going on both sides here, but you know that I don't like Garrett. I think
Yeah.
that he holds back his offense. But what we've seen in the last 2 weeks is interesting because I think it's not necessarily him, but I think it's Joe Judge being like, hey, we got to throw the ball. Like
Yeah.
do you see what our quarterback is doing? I don't know. Daniel Jones played the best football that I probably have seen yesterday than I've seen in his entire career.
Yeah, Black Eddie asked, "Do y'all really think it was Garrett's play calling?" No, not last night. Last night was not Garrett's play calling. It was just poor execution, in my opinion. Whether it be the false start on the kick at the end of the game, or
Yep.
it be that touchdown that Slayton just wasn't able to grab. Last night was just a story of poor execution. A game that the Giants could have very easily won by double digits, but didn't because they didn't execute. I am going to say, though, that Jason Garrett will lose this Giants team multiple games this season. And I feel fairly confident in saying that just with, his maybe he's improved. You're right. The last 2 weeks it hasn't been as bad, but I don't think that's going to be the norm. I think that, this team is always going to be held back by their OC.
Yeah.
Literally said Giants could give up 48 points and Garrett just stands there and claps. Yeah, for sure. Bacon23 says, thoughts on De'Ami Brown, 6 targets. Now, Jared, I wasn't able to watch the full game, but what are your thoughts on Brown's 6 targets that he got last night?
Yeah, it was very encouraging to see. You guys obviously know that we played him on both sites, so I liked De'Ami Brown quite a bit. We saw him emerge as, for me, he's that wide receiver too that they've been looking for. I do think that when Curtis Samuel comes back, that will definitely affect things. But for right now, it was very cool to see him take the field. And Taylor Heineke threw his way. He had 2 end zone targets, Josh, and they're both were very close. But yeah, I think that we see some pretty big games for this kid, as because obviously they're going to keep going to Terry McLaurin. Terry had double-digit targets, double-digit catches. So at some point, defenses are going to catch on and say, "Hey, we got to take away Gibson. We got to take away McLaurin." And then that's when De'Ami Brown should be able to step up and take things to the next level. But he looked good last night.
Yeah, I believe in De'Ami Brown. I've talked highly about him before. I know he's a UNC product, so I really shouldn't be talking high about him. But I got to watch him a lot last season because we rostered that team a lot last season. And yeah, he's impressive. He's impressed me so far, at least from what I got to see last week. And I think he'll continue to impress everyone. Like Eddie, look, I agree with you. Last night the problem was not play calling. Last night the problem was execution. But I still think that play calling is going to be a significant thing that this Washington football team has to keep in consideration.
Yeah,
Jay
they're
Coos,
going to be.
go ahead.
I'll just say to end that conversation that Jason Garrett and you can include Joe Judge in this too. Uh, Lots of games are won and lost by situational decisions, Also, I mean, they stabbed themselves in the foot plenty last night. But this group of coaches is very, very similar to Anthony Lynn's Chargers of the last several years. Now I know Anthony Lynn's not there anymore, but the reason he's not there anymore is because they were so bad in trying to make things work, whether it be 2-minute drill, whether it be situational passing, whether it be whatever you say. I mean, they are as bad as that, if not worse. So New York has a lot of. They're going to have a lot of games where they're close. We even saw yesterday the historics for this matchup, Giants Washington. The last 5 games have been decided by 10 points or less, and we saw a perfect example of what that was last night. So, I mean, yep, they stabbed themselves in the foot several times. Not going to say it was the coaching decisions last night, but it had to have. I mean, we're going to see it down the road, like Josh said, how this team's going to be able to handle this in crucial situations. Because I do think that they can keep up on offense, but I mean, we'll see how things go down the stretch here.
For sure. Jay Coos said, still can't believe Giants took Tony when they had Galladay, Shepard, and Slayton. Brings up an interesting point that I was almost going to move on from. We saw at the end of yesterday's game that Galladay was absolutely just chewing out Daniel Jones live on television. You know Joe Judge is probably going to make him run for that. For those who don't know, Judge is a guy who makes his team run quite a bit. They got into a fight during training camp, and he made them run for quite a long time. What are the repercussions for this? Do we see Kenny Galladay get kind of phased out of the offense? I mean, this was their prime addition to the offense this offseason. It would really suck to see that, they're barely even able to use him because him and Daniel Jones aren't able to get along.
Yeah, I think that there's obvious frustration here. Kenny Galladay already coming from a team that wasn't good. Now he's on another team that isn't as good either. And he stated over and over again that, you know, this offense isn't going to be ready. It's going to take some time for it to be ready. He's probably frustrated that he's not getting the target share that he should be getting, and I agree with that. But at the same time, we talked yesterday. I don't think it was on this show, but it was on the DFS show that Kenny Galladay, getting him, I don't understand why they picked him up because they already have like 2 or 3 receivers that can do the exact same thing, right?
Yeah.
You already have like Galladay and Darius Slayton are both. They're not down and distance guys. They're not move the chains guys. They are long A-dot throw guys that Daniel Jones can connect with. But at the same time, I don't understand why the move was made. They could have drafted, like, Tony is a very good example of all of this, right?
Yeah.
He didn't even see the field last night. So I don't know. For me, I think this is going to be a developing story. I don't think it's going to end well. And Kenny Galladay, only 3 receptions for 38 yards last night. That is not good. And especially for how much money they paid him to be a number 1 guy. But at the end of the day, Josh, I was right, and I think that moving forward, Sterling Shepard will continue to be this number 1 focus in the passing offense.
Yeah, and a guy that, like you said, can move the chains for them. I mean, this is going to be I don't want to get too much into fantasy. I know that's what our strong side show is going to be focusing on today, but he's kind of going to be a PPR animal for the whole season, in my opinion. So excited to see what he can do. I really hope Kenny Galladay picks up his play. I have a few shares of him, and I'm not feeling too good about him, even though he is a bench wide receiver for me. Anyway, we've talked about the game last night plenty. Let's move on to some other NFL topics, because we do have some other NFL topics. Number 1, the reason for the name of this show, we got the news yesterday that we are going to see the first ever Hard Knocks edition of in-season play, and we're going to see it from this Colts team as well. You and I were talking a little bit before the show, maybe not the best option, but there's enough there, right, to make things interesting?
There definitely is, whether it be the T.Y. Hilton situation, obviously Carson Wentz and his injury, also his just movement into another starting quarterback job, gives some things to talk about. They're getting destroyed by the Seahawks. Definitely is good to talk about. The fact that they are probably going to lose this week against the Rams is also something to discuss. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I think that it's a good choice, but I don't know if it necessarily was the best choice. Maybe they were just the first team that said yes in this situation.
Yeah, it definitely might have been. You brought up a good point before we got on the show, too, that Packers would have been an amazing team, right? Packers would have been a good team. I think that maybe the Bucks would have been a good team too. Follow them around after their Super Bowl win and see how they do. There was a lot of good teams. Maybe the Colts were the only ones willing to say yes, but I'll tune in. I usually don't watch Hard Knocks that much, but I'll probably tune in just to see what's happening, what's going on. So I am excited for that. All right, other topic that we got yesterday. Tom Brady saying that, yeah, I think I can play till 50 with Gronk in their little interview show. I need Bet Online to put out a prop right now. Give me some odds for if Tom Brady will play till he's 50. If you had to set the odds, if you were the odds maker here, what are you setting on yes?
Well, I'm a guy that never bets against Tom Brady.
Smart
I
man.
hate doing it. So for me, I will definitely say that he's going to. But in a public situation, I would say you probably have to set it at like, man, do you have to set it at minus money? Because I feel like it's kind of like at that point where you would expect it to happen. But for me, I would say minus. I'll just be that guy and say minus 115.
Yeah, I can kind of get behind it, man. It was crazy to hear him talk to Gronk about the situation of playing until 50. He was like, I'm playing right now and it's not that difficult. And I was like, how? We talked to our AP. He's having back problems when he's 27. I had knee problems when I'm 23. Like, how is this guy good to go when he's this old? I have no clue. Maybe it's just the fact that he's superhuman, or he spends millions and millions of dollars on making sure he's able to stay healthy. Bodine said it perfectly. He's a robot. Fatty McGee, Brady's an alien. Yeah, Brady's absolutely insane. It's incredible to see him play, and not only play, but play at the level that he's playing at. I think that you're going to see it, especially on Sunday when he gets to play the Falcons. You're going to see him play like a really good quarterback, which
Oh,
is kind of mind blowing.
yeah, never count out the narrative for Brady either. He's gonna come out and just destroy this Falcons team. Like he remembers, and
Yeah,
I know that he won the game, and he still remembers. So it's gonna be really really interesting to see what happens this season. They're primed again for another Super Bowl run, and I think that now he's established this community of players that is just going to say, "Hey, let's run it back one more year, one more year, one more year,"
yeah.
until they don't want until it doesn't work anymore. Which I don't think it's gonna not work for a long time.
For sure. All right, let's move on to our next segment. We got a little bit of college football to talk about since college football is tomorrow. First all, want to talk about this USC head coaching vacancy. We know that they're going to be without their head coach. They're trying to find a new one right now. I think Bet Online has some props if you want to pull that up, Jared. But
Yep,
I know that Urban Meyer was potentially an
he
option
was.
if he decides that the NFL isn't the thing for him anymore. And I know there was also Eric Bieniemy, the OC for the Chiefs, was an option and someone that was getting considered. If you have those props from Bet Online, I'd love to hear the top 5 options for this job.
Yeah, I'm still pulling it up right now, but I do know that those two guys are on the list. We already had the talks of the Urban Meyer situation. He already turned that down, obviously. But I'm actually kind of like you would think that he would actually maybe. Of course, he's gonna say no, right? But maybe in the back of his head, he's like, it's not the worst idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still looking for it. I'll make sure that I bring it up when I find it.
For sure. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what they do, who they're going to hire. I mean, it's a high end school, especially when it comes to college football. A lot of people expect this team to be good. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on whoever that head coach is going to be. Give us your thoughts in the chat. Who do you think is going to be the head coach for USC come, by some point in this season? You got to imagine they're going to fill this position. The other headline that I wanted to talk about for college football is the fact that we do have Alabama facing off against Florida this weekend. Going to be a really fun matchup to watch. We're going to see some more of Bryce Young, which I'm super excited about. You're going to see that Florida offense and that Florida tough defense. I mean, this is Young's, I think, first look at a really tough defense, and I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, definitely. I do have the odds up now here for the USC next head coach odds. PJ Fleck is 6-1. Mario Cristobal 7-1. James Franklin 8-1. Bob Stoops 9-1, and Luke Fickle also 9-1. Tony Elliott comes in at 9-1 as well. Chris Peterson from Washington 10-1. Gary Patterson 10-1. Joe Marhead and Bill O'Brien are rounding out the bottom. It would be interesting to see Bill O'Brien up there. I think that after those comments were made earlier in the week, they took Urban Meyer off the list. What do you
Mhm.
think about PJ Fleck going from Minnesota to this USC team?
Yeah, I know Will Harps is already crying a little bit in the chat, saying "Not PJ, please." I know Will Harps is a big Minnesota fan, but yeah, I don't mind PJ. I think PJ would be a good option. I I don't know. I don't know where I lean yet. I don't really have any favorite to win the job. I don't have anyone that I really want to see. I'm just excited to see who fills the role right now because this is supposed to be a good team. You know, they have a few good pieces. At QB, they have Kendon Slovis, who I think is incredibly talented and someone who could, no, maybe, I think Slovis is on this team. Anyway, someone who's incredibly talented and should be able to be in the draft next year. So yeah, I'm excited to see who USC has to fill this position and it's going to be interesting to watch it play out. Will Harp said PJ has the ego that he wants to be the guy at USC. He's another guy, potentially. Pete Carroll goes back to USC. I don't think that's going to happen, but hey, you never know. Um, Bacon also asking about PJ. I don't know. What do you think about PJ Fleck ending up in USC instead of Minnesota? Definitely warmer weather.
Yeah, that's one thing. Second thing is that maybe he has a, I wouldn't say easier time, but I mean, you're always going to have the powerhouses of Ohio State there, the Michigans, the Penn States, the Wisconsins of the world. So, I mean, maybe the strength of schedule is a little bit easier for him. I don't know. I mean, I'm excited to see what happens with this UCLA team right now, but I mean, honestly, outside of that, most of the Pac-12 is just non-existent. So maybe we
Hey, don't
see a
count out the
little.
Ducks, baby. You saw what they were
I
able to
know,
do
I know.
against Oregon.
That's
Don't count
that's
out the
true. Again,
Ducks.
it's three teams, though.
Yeah.
It's only three teams that matter.
Hey, yeah, you got to give them something. I mean, it's better than the American now. I mean, the American has zero teams to worry about. So, especially after Cincinnati and all them left. All right, any thoughts on the Bama game? I think this is going to be one that I'm definitely tuning into, and I'm sure I'm probably going to have a lot of DFS pieces tomorrow of this game as well.
Yeah, so obviously this is the big one. I was hoping this one would be the night game. I think what's the night game this week? Anyway, the Alabama and Florida should be a night game, but I'll be tuning in to watch. As this is going to be great. I mean, obviously you pick Alabama here until you see otherwise, but Florida should give them a run for their money, and obviously with this game being in Florida, it's going to be absolutely electric and like it's very similar, has a very similar feel to that Ohio State game last week against Oregon. So yeah, give me Bama until we see otherwise, but I think Florida could make things interesting and probably until the fourth quarter.
Bama in Florida actually not a night game, an afternoon game set at 2:30 Central Time. Weird. The two night games though, Auburn and Penn State. Super excited to see
Oh,
that.
that's the one, the
That's going to
whiteout.
be a
Yeah.
really fun game to watch for Penn State. And then Arizona State and BYU. I think another good game because I like to watch Arizona State. So I'm excited. College football is good this weekend. College football is back certainly, and we're excited for it. All right, let's move on, Jared. Unless you have anything else to talk about for college football.
I don't. I don't. That night game at Penn State is the whiteout. That one's going to be really fun to look at and watch.
Yep, going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's move on. We got some. What's up? Oh, UFC that we get to talk about next. Let's go. I saw that it was Friday, and I was like, you know what? This is the one day that I'm actually able to include UFC into our talking points. We have UFC returning for Vegas 37 this weekend or tomorrow. We have Anthony Smith facing off against Ryan Spann in the main event. Honestly, this card is kind of underrated from my early film studies. I still have plenty more to get done tonight, but excited for the Anthony Smith matchup. Excited to see Woquan Buckley once again. I think you have some other guys on the card that are going to be a lot of fun to watch. No, you're not the UFC guy necessarily, but I know you know some names. So like, look at the card real quick. Go on Bet Online and give me your favorite. Give me your favorite fight that's on the card.
Yeah, while I pull that up, I just want to know how many times how many UFC Vegas fights are they going to run before they run out of numbers? That's
Right?
kind of what I
Like,
want to know.
so the thing is that they're running UFC Vegas in Vegas for the rest of 2021. So like you
Hmm.
got I don't know the actual numbers because you have pay-per-views thrown in there as well, but you got to imagine they're going to get to 50. And that's
Well,
absolutely
yeah,
insane.
yeah. I think that they're not going to abandon Vegas. They'll go somewhere else every now and then, but you're going to see them always come back at some point because I feel like the brand is there enough now And the only thing that they're missing, and the only thing that I still think that watching fights with no fans or limited fans is great, but it has nothing compared to what they were able to do in Texas earlier a couple months back. I think that they're looking for that, and they're going to continue to move around. But I don't know. For me, I get a little bit more excitement, as I'm sure the fighters do, and the announcers do, and everybody involved does, when there are just so many fans packed into an arena like that. And Vegas doesn't really have that right now. But
No.
looking at this card, I'm looking at some things here. The thing for me is that I just have to make sure that I know what names are. What's going
Yeah,
on.
you're gonna try your best to. This is why I like throwing you on the spot, man, because I get to watch you pronounce a name that you might not know.
Right. So obviously, the other concern that I always have is just making sure that I'm talking about the right card too, because BetOnline just has so many different
Yeah,
events.
if you click on
So
Bet Online, you can go down to Vegas 37. I think if you're on the beta site, I don't know about the OG site, but I know on the beta site, you can click on it and then it gives you all the events, and you can click on Vegas 37.
man, I feel like Sean right now.
I love it. I love it. Putting Jared on the spot here. While you're trying to
Here we
figure.
go.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know how to say this name, but whoever's the fight that Mike Rodriguez is in, it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, the Mike Rodriguez fight is going to be fun to watch. Love is a strong term. I always think it's interesting to watch Mike Rodriguez fight, and it's going to be a fun one to watch there. I think Cutelaba also in the co-main, I think, is where he is. I think Cutelaba, seeing him come
Yeah.
back, we saw him have an absolute smasher last time out, so he's a lot of fun to watch. Oh, is he against Nchukwe? No, someone else is against Nchukwe,
Oh,
right?
uh, Kutalaba gets Devin Clark.
No, who does Tafon Nchukwe get? Is that the Mike Rodriguez fight? No.
Yes.
Oh, it is. Okay, that's going to be a fun fight to watch too. Nchukwe's coming back kind of early, if I remember right. So I haven't got to my film for that fight yet, but that Mike Rodriguez fight. I mean, whenever you see Mike Rodriguez on the card, you know it's going to be an interesting one for sure. I like this card a lot. I would say tune in. There's 15 fights. I don't know exactly what time the start time is for this one because I know they're kind of all over the place with their start times. But regardless, they're coming back. They usually try to put on a show when they're coming back. They're also trying to sell the pay-per-view next week, which is going to be a banger of a pay-per-view with Ortega and Volkanovski. I'm going to talk about that a ton next week and make sure that Jared does his homework so that we can talk about it a ton next week. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see Buckley return. I'm excited to see Anthony Smith. I'm excited to see Tafon Nchukwe. I'm excited to see Cutelaba. I think that there are a ton of fun fights on this card, and if I were you, I wouldn't miss out on it. All right, just going over everything that we've seen in here. Prelims start at 4 p.m. EST. Okay, cool,
Nice.
sweet. Dear, if I said
It's
lots
been
of
a while since
research.
we've had. So I was just gonna say it's been a while since we've had a lot of fights. Normally we've been stuck in this 10 to 11 thing for a long time.
I mean, don't. You better knock on some wood, Jared. Don't jinx me now, because there is very easily the chance that we could see 4 fights canceled by tomorrow with how COVID is going. D Ramified said lots of research. Yeah, I have a good chunk done already. Just another good chunk to get done tonight, so it's going to be interesting. Last night kind of threw a wrench in my plans with the whole card thing, but that's all right. We'll get it done regardless. Anything else you want to comment on for UFC? And if not, we have one more segment before we get to talk about Flag on the Play.
No, I have nothing, and I feel like I'm putting myself in a really bad spot here. But we could do something where we play a game where Jared has to announce some of these names that come forward here without any
Oh,
preparation.
you're in trouble if you put yourself up for that. Hey, I'm down. I'm always down to put you on the spot. Okay, next up, I lied. We do have Flag on the Play next. I don't know where we are in the segments, but Flag on the Play, Jared, I have nothing to contribute here except for the fact that Antonio Gibson absolutely sucks. But other than that, what do you think about Flag on the Play? Anything that surprised you on either of last night's slates, whether it be MLB or NFL?
Two things, and I hate to put you down while you're already upset about it, Gibson, but the Yankees putting up 2 runs last night in the spot that they were in was absolutely awful, to just say the least. There, they were projected to score like 7.5 runs, and they put up 2 on Baltimore. You did say though, so they won the games. It didn't matter, but Or did they?
They did
Did they win
not.
last night?
They did not. That's why I
Oh,
just
yeah.
split
Never
you
mind.
off. They definitely did not win.
uh, you did say 2 or 3 days ago that this one of these days they were going to lose to Baltimore. So
I
that
did.
was last night.
Yep, I knew it.
But that was definitely something that I saw from the MLB side that worried me, especially moving forward because we talked about what their schedule was going to look like for the next couple weeks here. Now, on the football side of things, the biggest thing obviously was I'm not going to talk about the Slayton catch or drop because I think that's been covered enough. But
Yeah.
the one thing that for me was just the terrible defensive execution on that field goal play. Like that's unacceptable. Like being offsides on a field goal for that defensive line. I mean I would be like that's a cutting scenario, right? Like you get cut for
Yeah.
things like that. And the fact that he was able to then nail the second kick is just a gut punch to all the Giants players that actually did not make mistakes. So it just goes to show that like I know a lot of guys on that Giants team made mistakes last night, but obviously only one of them actually really mattered in the end.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy because Boding just came into the chat and said both judges caught an L yesterday. That
I know.
you're trying to hurt me, man. You're trying to hurt me personally now, just because you're talking about Aaron Judge as one of those judges. But dude, imagine if that game was in New York. Like, I don't know if the Giants would have gotten out of that stadium alive after that missed field goal. It would have been absolutely awful. Zanzibar says good morning, everyone. Morning, how you doing, man? Fatty McGee says, "Fuck Aaron Judge." Yeah, fuck Aaron Judge, man. Fuck, like the fact that we had such a great game from Jordan Montgomery, especially after the other day. Like Sean and I were talking about who the SP2 was for our team, and I was like, clearly it's Jordan Montgomery. And he was like, "You're really getting behind Jordan Montgomery." And I was like, "Yeah, Jordan Montgomery's a dog, man. Like I love Jordan Montgomery." Then to see him go out there, have 12 strikeouts, and then to see the game just thrown away, it was just hurt my soul. Absolutely hurt my soul. Bodine said, "I love Judge, but oh my goodness, over 5 against the pitching staff isn't acceptable." Yeah, going to be interesting to see what happens when it comes to this tough stretch that they have of really really tough opponents. All right. Anything else for flag on the play? If not, we got some BOL to talk about before we move on to some videos.
Yeah, no, I'm all set here. I think we've talked about the Yankees enough for one day.
Yep, I couldn't agree more, Jared. So let's move on and talk about some BOL. Get to talk about our underdog mentality plays, also our take it to the bank plays, and we're focusing on MLB today because, well, there's not much other action. So, Jared, what's your underdog mentality play? Go through the list really quickly and give me someone that you like as an underdog.
I can already see that Marquez is on the board.
Yeah.
Let's see here. But I can't bet him because that doesn't count. Moving down the list, I picked some really gross stuff over the past couple days, so I need to get back on track here. And I can't use the Marlins because they are actually favorites today.
Wow.
Which, of course, they're playing the Pirates, so that makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. This is all really lopsided today, Josh.
I know.
Really
there's not a lot of teams that I love here.
Oh, do I really want to back this dude? I don't, but I'm going to do it anyway. Give me Seattle Mariners with behind Chris Flexen minus 102.
See, this is why I need to stop giving you the first pick because that was going to be my guy. Because I saw plus 101, I was like, all right, it's at least like reasonable, but you took it, so I can't go there. Give me the man. Not a lot of pretty stuff on the board today. Like, it's a pretty rough day. I will say to lead off that I don't feel incredibly confident about this, but give me the Nationals plus 101 with Josiah Gray on the mound. I think Gray's able to rack up strikeouts against that Rockies team and at least able to get the job done at plus 101. All right, now I'll play maybe that we can feel a little bit more confident about. Give me your take it to the bank play.
Yeah, the first one that stuck out the page to me was either the Brewers or the Boston Red Sox. Those are, I mean, obviously Sale is a minus 300 favorite against the Orioles. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm actually gonna I'll give you two because I do think that Boston Red Sox minus 1.5 Minus 168 is like the take it to the bank play of the day, play of the week probably against Keegan Aiken in Baltimore. But give me the Brewers minus 1.5 as well, going up against Zach Davies and the Cubs.
Dude, this should have been my underdog play of the day. Um, You know what? I'm going to switch my answer and just load up on this game. Give me minus 1.5 for the Giants as my underdog play because you can get it at plus 126. And you know what? If you're getting plus money, then it's an underdog. And then give me the money line too. I'm backing Logan Webb today, baby. I always love to back Logan Webb, but I think with the recent performances that we've seen from him in a good spot at home for this Giants team, they feel a little bit of the pressure. They're only one game ahead right now in the NL West. Give me Webb to get the win here. So there's a lot of interesting games on today's slate. I just want to go through the games that have playoff implications really quick. Giants game has playoff implications because of what I just said. The Cardinals game has playoff implications because I think Cardinals are number one in the wild card right now, and Padres are trailing them. So, or it's the other way around. I don't know. Or Reds are. It's so tough to know who the NL wild card winner is right now. So that game has playoff implications. The Red Sox, the Rays, and the Yankees game, all three have playoff implications because all three teams need to win now. And yeah, I think that's it. Oh, and the Mets and the Phillies also have some playoff implications. So lots of good games here. I'm excited for today.
Yeah, you were correct in saying that St. Louis. They are 1/2 game up on the Padres right now. The Padres have one more loss than they do. So technically, the Cardinals technically have that wild card spot. The Dodgers, Josh, already clinched a playoff spot. So regardless if they get second or not, they're going to be locked into that wild card one as long as they, they could lose the rest of the season and still be okay, which is crazy.
Look at that. Roto Radar gifting 5 tier 1 subs to the community. Those people who won those gifted subs are XKIF, The Maker 2K, Ms. Yahan, I Support You 65, and Go Past the Limit. I like that name. Go Past the Limit. Solid name there. All right. You love to see it. Thank you very much, Sean, for gifting those 5 Roto Radar subs. All right. Really quickly, just want to give a shout out to our sponsors over at betonline.ag. Betonline.ag is more than just an online betting platform. Their focus on the player approach has built their reputation on offering clients nothing but the best, from cutting-edge technology, enticing promotions, and the latest sports betting odds. Arguably their most popular and well-known service, which you guys see in front of you here, is their sportsbook. Here you'll find live lines for all major sporting events, including NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, soccer, politics, table tennis, UFC, which we've already talked about today. I mean, there's just a ton to bet on here, and it's always fun to bet on. The live betting platform, which is one of my personal favorites, allows you to bet on your favorites quickly and easily and in real time. BetOnline is the absolute best platform for all your sports betting, apps, or horse betting, poker, and casino gambling needs. We are so excited for them to be Roto Radar's exclusive partner for the 2021 NFL season. All right, awesome. We get to watch some videos now, Jared. A little nice way to end off the Friday show. Some funny videos, and just get to watch Bryce Harper absolutely annihilate the Cubs, which is also a good time. First off, we have a little John Gruden action here, which I found super funny, and our AP gave to me. Here we go. So it's John Gruden impersonator, predicting the Raiders record.
At Steelers win, Dolph win, Los Angeles Chargers, man, it's gonna be electric. Win, buy, win, Kansas City, loss. For them, man. Win.
Just win.
17-0. One better than last year.
17-0, according to this John Gruden stand-in or impersonator or whatever you want to say. I always think he's freaking hilarious, man. John Gruden actually brought him in because he lives in Arizona. He brought him in for the games where they faced off, or for a game where they faced off against the Cardinals. And man, was that freaking hilarious to see the players' reactions to him. 17-0. I mean, hey, they're one game away. They've got one game down, right? They won against the Ravens. I mean, 17-0, I guess, isn't impossible. Uh-oh, did we lose Jared? Nothing?
No, I'm here. I thought you had more to say than that.
Nope, that's it, man. I mean, I guess, I don't know, 17-0? Any chance?
Not a chance. Not with the Chiefs there. But yeah, I will say Frank Caliendo is the best sports. Actually probably the best guy out there in terms of doing this. His John Gruden is probably better than John Gruden himself, and I'm pretty stoked that he's available on like most NFL broadcasts now. When they talk about John Gruden, he's made appearances before in the past, but he's really come on this season. So the fact that they won the other day definitely helps this video a lot.
Yeah.
But no, not a chance for me.
Hey, you never know. Maybe Frank Caliendo's onto something. All right, now we get to watch Bryce Harper absolutely annihilate the Cubs, which was a lot of fun to watch last night. Just absolutely smack that ball. Just absolutely obliterated that home run. Get to see the fan going crazy. Boom. Oof. That's why you paid the man a lot of money, right? That's why they paid him this big amount of money. You even get to see the Phillies mascot.
This man has done in the second half.
There it is. Yeah, anytime that that dugout reaction is the same.
Yeah.
Anytime that the Cubs just get annihilated, it works for me. I feel like that is the best way to end this show and the end of the week here.
It's always fun to end the show on watching the Cubs lose, right? Like, that's the best way to end the show. But I don't know. It's just Bryce Harper coming back to haunt my take that I want to hear your thoughts, because I don't know if you heard this discussion between Sean and I on a MLB podcast, but I said that Bryce Harper is not a top 10 hitter in the MLB right now. Yeah, see, he's already here. Top 10 hitter in baseball, question mark, and at me. I still don't believe it, man. Just one home run against a piss-poor Cubs bullpen doesn't do it for me. So, I don't know. Does it do it for you, Jared? Is this a top 10 hitter in all of baseball right now?
Oh, right now, in the last 2-3 weeks, it's undeniable. You have to say.
Wow,
right?
okay. I mean, like, overall, like, the game. Like, considering every hitter in the game right now. Obviously, his second half performance has been absolutely amazing. It still doesn't push him to be a top 10 hitter in baseball.
Choose my words carefully here.
Who are you gonna make mad, me or the boss?
He's definitely top 15.
Yeah,
but
I
don't
agree.
know if I can put him top 10.
You nailed it. You made me upset with the Yankees call earlier. You made me happy with this. That's exactly what I said. Top 15 player for sure. Just not a top 10 player for me. All right. Any final thoughts before we get out of here, Jared? We got 2 minutes left on the stream, and I'm gonna put you on the spot. You got to give away a FanDuel voucher to someone, to a lucky member in the chat.
We do. Well, good for you, because I was already gonna work on that. So, guys, who needs a FanDuel voucher for later today?
There we go.
I already had some people in mind. But if you comment and say some nice things about us, we could maybe swing that a little bit.
Always nice to say some nice things about us, especially at the end of the week. Always fun doing these shows, man. I can't believe another week is in the books, and yeah, we come back on Monday, y'all. So no shows over the weekend.
You know what? This guy has been. He's correct. He has been in every single stream the entire week. So, Deramified, you win today's FanDuel voucher, because I do know that you've attended every single show of the week so far.
Every single show, man. Deramified's awesome. I thought about it when I gave away the $10 cash to 3 individual people, and I was like, man, Deramified should have won. He's been in here more than anyone else, and he's probably one of the more active people in here as well. So awesome to see him get that award. Make sure to, do we need him to message us on Discord, or is he good to go?
Nope, we'll get that taken care of for you.
Perfect. All right. Some fun things happening next week for the show. Potentially a little revamped look for the morning after show, which I cannot be more excited for. Jared, any final thoughts? And then if not, we're gonna get out of here and let Sean stop trolling in the chat.
No, I'm all done here. Catch us, guys, for the season-long fantasy portion of the Strong Side streams here in 2 hours at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. We're going to be breaking down the Roto Radar Dynasty League, as well as some of the other fantasy football leagues that we have going on within the company and within our membership base. So if you have any questions, you can always bring them up, whether it be your work league, your friends league, your family league. You can bring all those questions to us, and we'll answer every single one of them for later today.
Yep, going to be a lot of fun. Also, I know we weren't able to record the NFL podcast last night. NFL podcast will be after the Strong Side, so make sure to keep an eye out for that. And as always, my name is Joshua Reimer. Good morning and good skill.